just kind of give me, I guess you could say like off season leading into this season, Supercross and stuff like that. Just break it down into as most like concise as you can.
Yeah. So I got back on a bike after my knee surgery around like the week before Christmas. And then I rode basically for a month, 3 weeks or a month, just doubling around couple days a week. That's what I was limited to. And then ended up getting basically arm pump surgery, compartment syndrome surgery. So I couldn't feel my hands while I was riding. So got that fixed, and then I was able to ride basically like the Friday and Saturday of Glendale. That was when I started riding again after that. So I hadn't done any testing on the bike, hardly any riding at all. As far as off the bike stuff, I was still training and everything, doing everything I possibly could to be ready there. But obviously, it's hard to replicate anything on the bike fitness wise. But no, so we did a couple last minute testing days before Tampa. Then did a little bit the following week before Detroit. Mostly was just trying to get laps in. Obviously, I was lacking a lot of laps, and then luckily now this week we can kind of catch back up where we have the off weekend, and we did another couple long days of testing, and I feel like now we're in a really good spot with the bike, and now I feel like I can just go out and do some motos, do some laps, and actually start catching back up a little bit.
And was the arm pump surgery, was that, I guess you could say public? Did a lot of people know about that?
No, I was very hush hush about it. Arm pump's a good touchy topic in the moto world because I feel like generally when people think you have arm pump, it goes directly to, oh, you're not fit enough, or you're not working hard enough to be in shape. But it's the opposite. I mean, I was doing everything I possibly could to make it go away. And it just sometimes you're not blessed with the right genetics in some places, and I don't know. I always dealt with it I mean, the last 5 years it's been pretty heavy, but yeah, it just got to a point where like I couldn't mentally go race another season like this, and hope every weekend. I'm just like, hopefully it doesn't, kick in so early. Hopefully I can make it past halfway, make it through the race. But so I just being able to go race now with that factor gone, it's definitely gave me a lot of confidence, and honestly mentally just made me a lot happier. It was so miserable going to race knowing like I only got like 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes in me until I start fading back. So
So the testing that you've been doing, like I know that you said that basically you had a minimal bike time leading into Tampa and then even into Detroit. Um, do you feel like the easiest way to put it is, do you feel like this testing, it had it have been done or had you have been able to be on the bike before Tampa in the due time, do you think that the results would have been better in Tampa and Detroit?
um for sure Tampa. I don't know about Detroit, because a lot of it was I had a bad start in the main, and I worked my way up to sixth, where at Tampa I started up front and went back to sixth. So I think for sure before Tampa, I would have been a little bit better. Detroit maybe would have been a little bit better, but Tampa put myself in a good position to run up front. And I fell back a little bit where, yeah, Detroit, I had to work my way up there. But I mean, it's hard to tell. I would love to say, yeah, I would be in a lot better position, podiums, but it's hard to tell. But I mean, my best finish ever in a Supercross man's fifth, and I have two sixth right now with basically no bike time. So
Yeah.
it's not. I wouldn't say it's too bad. Grand scheme of things, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I guess I mean the biggest assumption could be made that coming off of a really great outdoor season, that's what everybody really, I hate using the word expected, but that's what everybody
Yeah.
expected coming into the Supercross season was, when you looked at both West and East Coast from a title contention standpoint, your name was definitely in the conversation. And I think a lot of that had to do with having a great outdoor season. But that's a perfect explanation right there, that your best Supercross finish going into this was fifth, and you're one placement off of that. But
Mhm.
everybody sees you as either a race winner, or definitely a race podium guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with good results comes expectations for
Yep.
sure. Um, it's it's obviously hard because it's hard to go public about all the stuff that you're kind of dealing with here and there. Like at the end of the day, like, do people really, want to hear it, or, like your job is just to show up on the weekend and perform. So I try to not, let that stuff be like, well, this is why I'm getting sixth place. This is why I'm not where I'm at. Like at the end of the day, I'm not the only person out there dealing with a little bit of bike time or an injury here and there, like we're all kind of going through something. So, but yeah, I mean, I knew my name was going to be thrown in the topic, and I believe I can win. I believe I can go win championships and win races, and that's definitely in reach for me. Right now, it's just trying to get my body and the bike to where we can get up there and fight for that. Where I feel like mentally I'm there right now, just trying to be patient, kind of be realistic about where I'm at. I mean, because I was pretty pissed off about the sixth place in the Detroit main, but after a couple days you kind of cool off a little bit. But no, it's trying. I mean, it's my third year now. I've learned a lot in the last few years, and I've gone through quite a bit in such a short time span. So I think that's kind of helped me with my perspective about everything and trying not to rush it. Because I feel like in the past, obviously you're young, you want to be there. You don't want to take the long road and get there. But unfortunately, I've had to take the long road the last few years, and I feel like I'm finally starting to get to where I can be a podium guy and start winning. But I think I need to rebuild myself a little bit before I get there. But I mean, at least my goal right now is for sure be winning by the time outdoors comes around.
Yeah, and then like speaking of that, having that kind of long and short road, do you feel going from the amateur career that you had, kind of going fast forward into now, do you think that that was a long drawn out process? Do you felt, or did you feel like that was like almost a really long gap? Whereas we see a lot of guys that jump from the amateur ranks and the pro ranks, and it's immediate that they're putting up results. So did you feel like that was either slowed down, or maybe it was just off of a different track than a lot of other guys right now?
I was definitely off track a little bit, just because the end of my amateur career wasn't very good. So I think that kind of affected how my first year of racing professional was. Um, just because, I mean, it kind of just goes back to the arm pump stuff. I mean, I was doing it really bad at the end of my amateur career, and then that was that year I was supposed to race the last three in 22, but just bad performance Loretta's, which I couldn't really hang on to my bike all week. And then, just I think that kind of mentally hurt me and set me back a little bit. So when I went and did my first national, I mean, I didn't do amazing, but I mean, it wasn't a bad performance. But then I finally did my first off season and like did a legit Supercross prep, and it was good, but it's hard for me because my whole mini bike career as an amateur, like I wasn't very good. Like I was fast, but I didn't have any good results. And then it really wasn't until the last 2 years, 2.5 years on a big bike that I was actually like successful. So it was almost like I fell back into that part of my career where I was like, it's gonna take a while for me to win again. And I was like, I think that helped me, not be so like, I guess, butthurt about it. Because I knew it was going to be a long road to get to where I can win. But just kind of, going from winning at the, last part of your amateur career to, getting 12th in the pro ranks, it's a bit discouraging sometimes. But yeah, I think obviously over time I kind of just learned, and you learn to accept that it's going to be a long road, and it's going to take a while. But yeah, I don't know, everyone's journey is a little bit different. um it's it's hard for me to go back and think like what I was thinking at the time, and like where I thought I was going to be, because just knowing what I know now is and knowing what I was going through there, I was like, there's no way I was going to go do anything. Obviously at the time you expect to go do good, but obviously knowing what I know now, I'm like, there's no way I would have even been top 15 going what I was going through. It's weird because I feel like the last year I raced amateur moto was like, it was pretty big And I mean, it's easy for me to say because I don't really pay attention to it anymore, but it feels like it's kind of like there's not a lot of, factory support in it anymore compared to like what it used to be. So it's hard to like know who's coming up and who's not. Like there's a couple big name guys, but like the generation I was in, it was me and Romano and Thrasher and Reynolds, Ryder D, LeBlanc, like Yoder. There was a lot of guys that was coming up, and you're like any of these guys could go and perform and do good, you know?
And of those names, I mean, we've seen some ups and downs. Some guys make it up to the top and be on, factory teams, and other guys really struggle, whether it was injury or just trying to make it into it. So I mean, that's a really big list right there. Like the 7 names that you said, we could say, man, like some of those guys are doing really good, and then some of those guys are just really kind of like fighting their uphill battle. With your guys' team right now, obviously there I wouldn't say a big shakeup, but you guys are, your 2 premier class riders are both injured, and then you've got you and Joe holding down the fort on the 250 side. So do you also feel like that maybe is a little bit, I wouldn't say pressure, but do you feel like you have to perform more because you guys are more in the spotlight?
Um, no, honestly, not at all. Like I feel like if anything, it makes it maybe a little easier for me. Just because obviously Jet and Hunter bring a lot of people around the truck, fan wise and everything. It seems to be a lot calmer now around the truck. And I think that like Detroit this last weekend when there was no fans or anything, like it made it, just really calm, a lot easier around the truck. Obviously I wish it'd be fun for all of us to be there under the truck, but I think at the end of the day, like, um, I know where I need to be, my expectations, my goals, and then the team knows that. So there's no need to, change those just because I'm the only one under the truck or Joe's the only one under the truck, like especially where Joe's at with his finger or how he's healing up. Like I don't really think they expect him to go and, go out and win and, carry the team on his back. But obviously at the end of the day, we are carrying the team, the supporters on our back. And um, we kind of, have to acknowledge that and, put up good results. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it adds any more pressure than what's already added there. So yeah, I don't, it's a tricky subject just because I've never been through something like this where I'm the only one under the tent. I've always been the one injured or, there's been a full team and I'm not there, but for me to be the only one there, it's, kind of crazy. It sucks, I don't want to see those guys down and, honestly, I don't want to be there by myself, but it's a good learning thing for me, just being able to, handle, I think, more of the spotlight under the tent. Um, Especially because like with the 450 and 250 side, we're almost like separated into two on race day. And especially when we're doing different time schedules, you're almost like 250 guys come in here, watch film, and then once 250 guys are done, the 450 guys come in here, watch film. And it's like I don't really see those guys during the day just because we're always doing two different things or I'm riding at different times. So like I think schedule wise, it doesn't really change anything. But yeah, I mean I think it's a cool opportunity to take advantage of. Yeah, I I I wish they were there for sure.
And then last thing, with the weekend off, everybody else going to Arlington, you guys get a little bit more time. Daytona, we know historically is it is a hybrid track. It's a little bit of both. And just seeing how the weather shapes up the track a lot of times leading into the race. Do you feel like that's a good race for you? Are you pumped on it? Is it one of those things where you're like, yeah, I really would like a track like that, that kind of maybe isn't a whole 100% supercross and has a little bit of, some fast paced areas and sand sections? Or is it just, a normal day at the races?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day it's just a normal day, normal day at work. Daytona's always a little tricky because a lot of it's really fast, so your suspension needs to be stiff, but obviously it gets rougher than your average supercross track. So you want to almost soften it up a little bit to, you know, soak up some of the bumps or be able to corner a little bit better. But I've always enjoyed Daytona. I feel like I always ride good there. Last year I didn't do very good with a crash in the main, but I always enjoy it. The atmosphere is cool. Speedway is pretty badass. So no, I'm excited. I feel like the bike changes I've made this week are going to work really well there. And honestly, just I'm excited each weekend just to kind of have a restart and, give it a go. Kind of that's where I'm at right now, just going to give my best every weekend. And I feel like Daytona is a really good place for me to do good. So yeah, I'm honestly just looking forward to going and racing again, especially there.